Hello. Oh man, it's been a while. I think some of the most important things is Mercury went direct 2 days ago on Monday on the 9th. And Mercury's in Aquarius right now. It'll be going into Pisces in the next couple of days. And I think that's the most important thing to focus on, besides the Mercury retrograde, or Mercury going direct rather, is Sun and Neptune being conjunct in Pisces. There's a lot of confusion. Maybe things are going really good for you. Again, this energy can be a dream. It can be really wonderful how emotions are just flowing and things are going nicely. Or perhaps it's challenging for you. A lot of people are also struggling with, and for all of us, we always got to keep in mind, we're shooting for this, but even if things are going well, to really be able to maintain that forward momentum and that goodness, that upward spiral of awareness, then we have to be aware of this potential challenge too, to make sure it doesn't suddenly switch to, oh God, what the hell, it was a dream, now it's a nightmare. So it's always good to look at during every season, what are the challenges? So whether things are you're caught in this place or in this place, or you're not caught but you're enjoying this place, this is good to keep in mind that a lot of people are struggling, and there's a potential for all of us to struggle a bit with the Sun being conjunct Neptune, giving us a sense of confusion or fear, vagueness, feeling unsettled or insecure or not stable in some way. And again, most importantly, really for either wherever you find yourself emotionally during this time, the biggest thing to focus on is the stellium of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all in Capricorn. Focus on working hard on your long-term goals. This is a wonderful time to be able to succeed with that. I know that sometimes you can have doubts about what you're doing. You can have doubts about, is this the right goal? It is good to keep in mind, especially with this Mercury in Aquarius and Mercury being direct now, to make sure that we are setting the right goals, to make sure that we're moving forward and we're not just setting goals that are arbitrary or seem good or that somebody else wants us to set. It's really important to be setting goals that we ourselves really feel called to accomplish, because, well, for so many reasons, but especially during this time, we're going to achieve what we're setting out to do. So that's really important to make sure that what we're setting out to do is what we need, or is giving us what we need, it's fulfilling us, in all of the different realms, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually. And isn't just something to work on, but isn't actually giving us things. And that's assuming if we're even tapping in and channeling all that cap in the first place. Venus is in Taurus, conjunct Uranus. A lot of people are really trapped in the just getting as much taste as they can and enjoyment and sensory experience from life. And it's understandable. It's okay. It's good to enjoy this. But I think the most important thing to make sure that, again, that upward spiral of goodness is maintained, um, or is even achieved in the first place, is just to focus on what you're working towards. And again, it can be challenging. Jupiter and Cap, this is an interesting mix of energies, because Saturn and Mars and Cap are both very like, yeah, let's do this. I have this purpose. I'm moving forward. I know how to do it one step at a time. We're putting in the work every single day. And then Jupiter and Cap is helping this, but it has its own particular challenge, which can be to have doubt, have fear, to settle, just go, no, you know what, I can't be risky. I have to be prudent and cautious. And again, that's good. That's important to be prudent and cautious. But that Jupiter and Cap energy can sometimes set the bar too low. And during this time especially, we can be achieving this much. So why are we setting the bar this low, if we are indeed doing that? So that's really important to keep in mind, is especially since during the season with this confusion, we're still in the Mercury shadow period. We're in the post-retrograde period, but it's still the shadow period until March 30th. And what this means is essentially Mercury hasn't gotten back to the exact, in relation to the Earth, degree of where it was in its orbit when it first started going retrograde. So we're still kind of wrapping up this retrograde season of the last month, essentially, with the rest of March. So it's good to take our time. It's especially with Mercury in Aquarius, sometimes that energy can be very, I have an air Mercury myself, actually, and Mercury in the house of Aquarius, so it's the same thing. And so it's good to not be over optimistic during this time. But again, we don't want to be over pessimistic too, or over skeptical, over cautious. So making sure our goals are, oh right, well, like I was saying before, especially since our idea of risky during this time could be very skewed by the Sun and Neptune being conjunct in Pisces. as well as this post-retrograde period, where it can be difficult to suss out exactly what the reality is outside of ourselves, as well as within ourselves potentially, but especially in the outside world. And the outside world can be very difficult for people to make connections, because everybody's going through this subconscious time with all this Pisces energy. We're still in the Mercury retrograde influenced period, and all this Cap energy is very introverted, as is the Taurus. So it's a little bit more of a self-focus of, am I getting what I need? What do I want? And kind of juggling those things, trying to figure it all out. Life purpose, all sorts of things, the usual things also, but especially during this time with all this Cap energy of my future, or lack thereof, and maybe feeling despondent about it, maybe feeling good about it. No matter what, again, I think it's just wise to set during this time tangible, achievable goals that call to you, that you're really interested in, that are exciting to you and fulfilling, and promise a tangible reward. That's really important during this time, because these energies are all about the practical realm. They want to see tangible results, not just some ideal. So staying focused on that, and keeping, I was going to say keeping our mouths shut. I mean, to some extent, we always want to be cautious. I mean, during any season, but especially with the post-retrograde period, to make sure that we don't rush, especially when Mercury goes direct. People tend to kind of feel it, even if they don't know what's going on astrologically. They can kind of feel it, and then they try to, oh, good, okay, now I can move forward. Kind of desperate for action when things have been a little bit delayed, or difficulties. Patience and perseverance has been needed for the last couple of weeks, just like with every retrograde period, and especially with the last month, because Mercury was conjunct Neptune and retrograde and in Pisces. So people are like, it's just good to take our time. Let's coast into the end of March, working hard. It's not coasting in the sense of being lazy, but just really thinking through what we're saying to others, taking time to make sure that we're sorting through our own emotions, we're not getting too swept up in them, and just staying focused on doing what we can do tangibly and practically to make our lives better, and to fulfill our unique purpose in providing value to the collective. Again, the professional realm is a big focus during this time, which can be very, very grounding and helpful, whereas other stuff can be a little bit difficult, as per maybe relationships. For some people, yes, some people not necessarily, but it can come into question. Thoughts, feelings, all that stuff is a bit nebulous, but goals, oh good, give me some goals I can focus on and that I really care about. That's the way to get through this. So as always, I'm doing readings. You know how to get in contact. Well, some people might not. To get in contact with me on YouTube, it's in the about section of this video, and it's in the bio section on Instagram. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. And feel free to ask any questions. The info in those different areas has a bunch of different details for all the readings I offer, but feel free to ask too. There's my contact info there as well. And I'm happy to do any kind of reading. Love reading, life purpose reading, this reading, that reading, whatever. Even just a general reading. This is what I love to do. Yeah, I think that's good for now. All right, peace.